If you think I'm tough, you should see my mother. I am providing one of the voices you'll hear in Scorched Basin, a system-agnostic Mad Max Dune inspired desert TTRPG setting. Imagine sandworms versus monster trucks, the Muad'Dib versus Furiosa, and you get the idea. My name's Rich, this is Renegade Rolls, and this is a setting like nothing I've ever seen before, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. This video is a look into the wonderful world of Scorched Basin, and also a look behind the scenes at my thought process that went into creating my character for the game. I got to be a member of the Unsettled, a nomadic group who move among the dunes, seeking harmony with the natural world and the currents of energy that flow through it. I thought about how that character could sound. This process that I follow here, you can apply to your own characters and NPCs in your game. First thing I realised was that my normal speaking voice sounds a bit too civilised. Maybe more suited to a member of the Kai dynasty, a rival faction who live in opulence and luxury. So I thought about what would someone who is wild by comparison sound like. And it's not a big stretch for me to turn up my accent a little to become a true Highlander. But accents are only part of the puzzle, and are often the finishing touch to making a character sound truly unique. Think about how many different ways there are to sound while still having the same accent. What are you doing in my swamp? You can't take it anymore, Captain. Damn Scots! They've ruined Scotland! Hello! Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I must look like a yeti in this get-up. A much stronger way for finding an interesting voice and ways of moving for a character is to use something called Laban Movements or efforts. You might have heard of them before, but it was my friend Fran who introduced them to me, and she was actually coaching me from behind the scenes during the recording. Basically, there are 4 different levers that you can pull, which combine to give a crazy number of options. All those levers can be pushed or pulled to a greater or lesser extent to give an infinite range of voices, all before you add an accent on top. The speed, weight, flow, and direction. The first 2 are super straightforward. I speak fast, I speak slow. I speak light, I speak heavy. Combining them can give me something quick and light and fast and nimble, or slow and heavy and ominous. The other 2 are a bit more subtle, but super powerful. For flow, I can be free, or I can be bound. For direction, I can be direct, or I can be, what could I be? Indirect. Combining them together gives 8 distinct movements or efforts, which are called punch, press, slash, ring, dab, glide, flick, and float. Challenge time for you. Which of these do you think my character is? I'm going to play another bit of voiceover, pause the video, and see if you can get it. Those scavengers, they just don't get this place. They use it as somewhere to drive through, A to B, but they don't enjoy the journey. They don't see the beauty here. I was aiming for punch, being very much bound and constrained, but it's also quite a light voice, so a dab is totally a good answer too. For the curious, I'll leave some links to some cool resources in the description. Despite being a contributor to the project, I can honestly say that this setting just sets my brain spinning with new ideas. As soon as I started reading about the setting, concepts for adventures and potentially even whole campaigns started percolating and running through my head. As well as my vocal contribution, I also ran a one-shot in the setting because I was just so inspired and I really wanted to see how it worked in practice. The idea for the one-shot came together from me just browsing through and thinking about what would be fun to play, what would be great challenges to bring to my players, and there are no shortage of options. It came out of nowhere. A wall of sand 500 feet tall, blocking out the usually scorching light of the sun until the whole world was a roiling swirl of browns and greys. You're on foot halfway back from the village of the unsettled tribe folks to your broken down and very much stolen basher, which is like a monster truck in our world. It seems to run on luck and bloody-mindedness just as much as it runs on crystals that actually power it. The sandstorm surrounds you now, and any hope of stumbling across the basher are fading like the sunlight. Can you please introduce your character? Also, other than a whole load of swirling sand, what do we see as we look at each of you? And one more thing, can you tell me what they're doing to try their best to fight their way through the storm?
I had such a fun time playing Catabaxis Axe. I really loved how fearless she was. I feel like I'm going to try and incorporate some of her energy in my everyday life.
What I really loved was, delving into the lore and finding ties to the lore that worked for my character. And
I was on board from seeing the artwork. I was like, I like this world, and you delivered it to us in a cool way, I would say. It was, yeah, I mean, very fun to be just like, even us, the parts that we were deciding, like what we're gonna call our big monster truck thing. Like,
I think it was a really nice twist on their usual like faux medieval tavern-y type. Like, yeah, I thought the desert added an interesting challenge that you don't normally get.
I loved being a Kai. I loved the whole history behind Kai in terms of like their obsession with their own culture, in terms of science and art. It felt very comfortable sort of playing a character from that world.
I want to spend more time with the different factions and find out more. Giant Worm.
Last shout out to Herman.
Shout out to Giant Worm.
Oh, I had so much fun playing that. The setting is crazy. I've played a lot of medieval fantasy, so having the opportunity to do something in a completely different setting, completely different environment, different vibes, different challenges as well to throw at the players is something I loved so much. The opportunity to mix in some voice acting from some of my fellow TTRPG folks, making this sort of like multimedia kind of thing, is something I've never experienced before, and I think around the table it really added something quite unique to the game. Having so much space to explore with a setting which is not fully developed. I've only seen a snippet of what's going to be in the full book, but it was a wonderful jumping off point for having new ideas, new concepts, and the thing I look for in any adventure, any setting, is I want something which inspires me to give me challenges, obstacles for the players to overcome, and giant sandworm things, floating crystals, folk in the middle of the desert, and a guy just eating sand. That's great, and really fuels the creative juices, making sitting behind the screen and running a game dead simple. The details within the setting itself, there are sections for different monsters, and I was able to very quickly convert that into something D&D specific. It gave a lot of hints and clues without being so direct as to be like forcing and say, you must do this, you must do that. So I found it very straightforward to reskin some of the characters, and obviously the enemies and adversaries that folks came across as well. So if anyone is on the fence about it and thinks, oh, but it'd be too much work to do to make it into something which will work for D&D around my table, it's really not. It took me 5 minutes and I thought, that's close, that'll do. Oh, and I'm having that particular ability that I'm going to add to that creature to really give them that extra feel of being something unique to Scorched Basin, and rather than just something from D&D that's just been reskinned. So everything felt very unique. It felt different to anything I've played before. This is my first time in that kind of sort of post-apocalyptic, the Mad Max Dune inspirations. It was so cool to try and bring them to life, and to bring all manner of challenges, easy or hard, to the players. As well as getting to hear my dulcet tones whenever you like, the book is going to be full of so much stuff. There's a history and lore chapter, the timeline of events. There's 5 unique factions with their own chapter each. There's detailed options for player characters that allow them to feel like so much more than just a reskin. There's a big world map, 5 battle maps, including 2 city ones. There's 3D printable STL models, so some Mad Max vehicles and some NPCs as well. There's also a huge amount of artwork made by just one person, with not an AI in sight, just the way I like it. Scorched Basin is TTRPG system agnostic, so works with D&D, Pathfinder, Draw Steel, Daggerheart, Cypher System, Shadowduck, and any of the Borgs. I bet you could even use it for Mothership, maybe even Brindlewood Bay with a bit of creativity. On top of all those lovely things, the creators of the setting, Homie and the Dude, are doing a revenue split with contributors like me, where if you back the project via my referral link in the description, I get a super generous proportion of the revenue. I've seen a little bit behind the scenes, I've seen some of the work in progress documents, so I can confirm it's all looking super cool already. So if you want some Mad Max and Dune goodness in your games, whatever system you play, if you like the sound of Scorched Basin and you want to hear even more of my very Scottish accent, if you like my channel as well, then backing the project is a great way to support both of us. My Kickstarter referral link is here somewhere, as well as in the description below. If you want to see the game in action, then check out this video where we put Scorched Basin through its paces in a D&D one-shot. The desert will weigh you down if you let it. The thing that kills most people is confidence, it's hubris. I'm an artist, I regret nothing.